The G7 summit in Italy is over. Now the action has shifted to Switzerland for the Ukrainian Peace Summit. Western leaders have gathered there in large numbers, even though this exercise won't deliver much, let alone peace. So why is the summit even happening? Why have these leaders come together, and what does Ukraine hope to achieve? This is being called a peace summit, an attempt to end the Russia-Ukraine war, but one of the warring parties is absent. Russia is not attending the summit. They've dismissed the entire exercise as irrelevant.
It is an absolutely absurd goal to discuss Ukraine without Russia's participation. It is obvious that it is not a result-oriented. That's why many countries don't want to waste time.
You can't argue with their logic. I guess even the organizers agreed. So they downgraded the summit even before it began. The host, Switzerland, now says it's about building consensus, an effort to pave the way for a future peace process. On his part, Zelensky says that he wants to give diplomacy a chance.
The views, ideas, and leadership of each nation are equally important to us. And everything that will be agreed upon at the summit today will be part of the peacemaking process that we all need. I believe that we will witness history being made here at the summit.
At the same time, this summit also exposes the limits of Ukraine's diplomatic heft. 160 countries were invited to the summit, only 92 are attending, so a little more than half. And here's a breakup of the guest list. 57 attendees are heads of state, 29 are ministers, and 6 are diplomats. Besides that, heads of the European Union and the United Nations are also attending.
As of today, 90 states signed up, of which half are from Europe and North America, the other half from South America, Africa, the Middle East, and Asia.
Some influential leaders are missing from the guest list. This includes Ukraine's chief backer, the President of the United States, Joe Biden. He's not there. Vice President Kamala Harris is attending in his place. Who else is missing? Chinese President Xi Jinping, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, also India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. India has sent a delegation instead. It is led by a senior Indian diplomat. Now, the absence of these leaders is a setback for Ukraine. These countries have the diplomatic clout to help Ukraine move the needle with Russia. The presence of their leaders would have been a signal, a strong signal of support. But they're not attending. Switzerland and Ukraine also had high hopes from the global south. Kiev wanted to shore up support from this bloc. They'd invited countries like Brazil, Cambodia, and Malaysia. But they've either sent observers or skipped the summit altogether. So if the goal was to gain new allies, Ukraine won't make much progress here. Half of the guests are from the West, from North America and Europe, where Ukraine already enjoys strong support. So to sum it up, there is no peace deal on the table, nor any major mobilization of support against Russia. What's worse, the agenda seems to have been diluted too. 3 topics are being discussed now: nuclear safety, humanitarian aid, and food security. That's it. No proposal to end the war.
There are not yet negotiations about an end to the war. For that, Putin would have to show that he is prepared to end his brutal campaign and withdraw troops. But perhaps a way can be found to start a process in which Russia will one day also have a seat at the table. When the time is right, that will be decided solely by Ukraine.
Clearly, Ukraine wants to dictate the terms here. Kiev is already preparing for a second peace summit. And here they hope to have Russia. But will Moscow play ball? Looks highly unlikely. Russian forces have made gains on the battlefield, and the Russian economy has so far survived the onslaught of Western sanctions. Take a look at this report. This is about the IMF and the Russian economy. The IMF says the Russian economy will keep growing. In fact, this year it will grow faster than the United States. That's a scathing indictment of the Western campaign against Russia. It also gives Russia the upper hand. So Kiev may want to spell out the peace plan, but Vladimir Putin doesn't feel compelled to negotiate. He's approaching this from a position of strength. Yesterday, Putin shared his list of demands. Listen to this.
The conditions are very simple. Ukrainian troops must be completely withdrawn from the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, the Kherson and Zaporizhzhia regions. As soon as Kiev declares that it is ready for such a decision and begins the actual withdrawal of troops from these regions, as well as officially notifies that they abandon plans to join NATO, an order to cease fire and begin negotiations will immediately follow from our side, literally at the same minute.
4 regions or 1/5 of Ukrainian territory, an end to Western sanctions, and no NATO membership for Ukraine. These are Putin's terms. Ukraine was quick to reject the offer. It called Putin's terms, and I'm quoting, a complete sham. So did its Western backers. The United States says Putin is in no position to make demands.
He is not in any position to dictate to Ukraine what they must do to bring about a peace. Putin can end this war today. You know, he started this war with no provocation.
So America is talking tough, but here is the reality. Russia has no intention of ending the war on Western terms, and Ukraine is in no position to win this war. Plus, a failed peace summit may open up new challenges for Kiev because China is making moves. Reports say Beijing is ready to push a rival peace plan. It is lobbying other governments and calling for its own international peace conference. Remember, Beijing has been a strong critic of the summit in Switzerland, mainly due to the absence of Russia.
China has repeatedly emphasized that the peace summit should have the 3 important elements of acceptance by the Russian and Ukrainian sides, equal participation by all parties, and fair discussion of all peace proposals.
Not surprisingly, Russia has already endorsed this plan. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov supports the idea. Ukraine may choose to reject it, but without any substantial gains on the battlefield, Kiev is running out of options.